The Great Reset is underway, and more employees are finding themselves in a situation where they're no longer willing to do 1,000 different jobs and be paid for one. Let's be honest, guys. The Great Reset is underway, and more employees are literally they're saying that they're done. They're no longer willing to do 1,000 different jobs and being only paid for one. And there was a worker that literally quit a multi-million-dollar company over a pay raise. And unless you've been living under a rock, inflation has been destroying the middle class. It's been destroying lower income individuals. And if you're a prepper trying to get ready for what's coming, good luck with that. And things are only getting worse. Now, an employee was praised for leaving his job. Like, what kind of society are we living in now where you're praised for just quitting your job? This is part of the Great Reset. And this is after being probably employee of the month for like a year, and then the company just not appreciating what he offered. So he asked for a pay raise, and after being told he wouldn't be receiving one, he ended up quitting. Takes a lot of balls. Now, essentially, he explained that he asked his boss for like a 15% pay raise. Now, first, before you even think of asking your boss for a raise, you gotta ask yourself, are you worth it? What do you bring to the table? What is the market rate for what you do? You don't want to just blindly ask for more money. We all want to increase our incomes and have money to prep, have money to invest, maybe even contribute to your 401k and build wealth. But you can only do that if you have excess cash, if you have excess funds. And the only way you're going to be able to pull off getting a raise is if you're worth it. At the end of the day, if you can pay someone $10 to mop the floor, but you want to make 30 doing that, good luck with that. It's just not going to work. It's basic economics. But if you are mopping floors and you're only being paid 5 and the going rate is 10, there's no reason why you shouldn't ask for a 100% raise. So it only makes sense. It's about the market. It's about the skill and the service that you provide, the value that you offer. And so essentially his boss refused to give him a raise, saying that the demand was outrageous because it would mean that he would get paid more than others in the same department who had more experience. So basically what he did was he ended up arguing back and forth with his boss, and he ended up contacting a friend who works at a recruiting business, made a few calls, and pretty much a week later, he had another interview lined up with another company. Now, this other company was willing to pay him a lot more money, also in the same city. So you got to ask yourself, what is the market rate for the service or the skill set that you have, before you just rush out and try to demand extra money to make more money. I understand everyone wants to make more money. Who doesn't? But you need to have a strategy. You need to have a game plan before you just go demanding a raise. And depending upon the climate of the environment where you work in, like, the company may not be able to pay you what you're worth. And so you have to do a little bit of research and figure out, okay, does it make sense for me to stay here, or should I just bounce and work for a company that's more financially secure and that can afford paying you what you're worth? So basically, he ended up saying that this new company offered him a 25% salary increase, and on top of that, they were offering more benefits. So at that point, he pretty much gave his boss 1 month's notice, and he said that he was out. Now, his boss was pissed. So it's kind of like, on the one side, these employers sometimes they can't afford it. You know, with a recession, with rising interest rates, with rising expenses, inflation is affecting businesses as well. Overhead is constantly going up, and it's affecting their expenses. It's also being coupled with, depending upon what industry you're in, it could be coupled with reduced revenues as well. So it's a lot of different factors that come into play. But the worker told his colleague about what was going on, and a lot of them pretty much followed in his steps. So basically, he told his colleagues about the whole situation, and almost all of them ended up asking for his buddy's recruiter number so that they could potentially see if they can get repositioned into a new job. So what ended up happening is this guy, he basically tries to get a raise. The boss is not willing to give him a raise. He goes to a friend of his who is a recruiter. His recruiter sets him up with, a new potential opportunity. He interviews, and before you know it, he's offered a job. He gets a 25% raise instead of just the 15% raise that he was trying to get initially. And then, and on top of that, additional bonuses, right? Additional benefits. Now, here's the thing. So he comes back, he shares the story with his employees, and what ends up happening is almost every one of those employees ended up speaking with that recruiter. And fast forward to today, almost every one of those employees is now leaving. So this is a part of the Great Reset. More and more Americans are looking to quit their jobs and literally just walk off and make more money elsewhere. Now, what happens to the business? What happens to the business that they used to work for? Well, they're going to have to rehire. And they're going to have to rehire quickly. Because if you're a business and 80% of your staff walks out the door in one day, that could potentially shut your business down. You could potentially find yourself as a business owner in, needing to file Chapter 11 bankruptcy just because you can't operate your business, and your cash flow just dried up because, your revenue producers all walked out the door. And we're seeing more and more of this scenario happening. More and more people are saying, hey, you're not going to walk on me. You're not going to walk all over me anymore. You're going to pay me what I'm worth, or I'm out. And it's a reality that these business owners will have to face. It's just a reality now. And this is in the face of a recession. So not all industries are being faced with a recession. Some industries will still grow in a high inflation, recessionary environment. But you need to figure out where you stand. You may be in a position of power where you are worth more money, but you need to do a little bit of research to figure out how much you're worth and potentially how much more you should be paid. So more updates like this in the future to come. Obviously, the more financially strong you are, the better you're prepared, the better you can prep, and the longer period of time you'll be able to financially sustain yourself. So, made it this far in this video, drop a like. Also consider subscribing to the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Take care, preppers.